Okay, so the past week for Fallout 4 modding has quite literally been one of the best weeks for Fallout 4 modding in years, as we have just now started to see the release of several large-scale mods that have been a work in progress for a while. We've been following their progress for a while, and they all kind of just came out in the same week or so time span. Several of these mods adding in completely new and never before seen features into Fallout 4, and collectively all of them going to vastly improve and overhaul your game. I actually think it's a pretty good time to start a new playthrough using this collection of mods. But before that, on this channel all the time we're covering tons of community made content, whether it be mods for Fallout or Cyberpunk. Unfortunately, actually making mods requires a ton of work and quite a few headaches are involved in the process. But today's video sponsor Core makes the game creation process easy. Core is a totally free new online platform that allows you and many of your friends to actually play, edit, or even create a ton of different game types, all of these based in the Unreal Engine, so it looks really good. There's a ton of versatility here, whether it be the FPSs you know or love, an island-based survival game, or even just a farming simulator if you want to relax. The beauty of Core being it's totally free and extremely easy to use. Whether you want to actually create your own game mode using their in-game editor and then share that or play that with a bunch of your friends, or even try out one of the over 20,000 games available right now with some of your friends. As of late, I've been absolutely dominating people in Arsenal of Guns, which is kind of like a gun game / Doom or Quake crossover. For its early access, Core's partnered with the Epic Game Store, so you could download it for free right there, as well as get some exclusive cosmetics. And between May 27th and June 21st, Core's hosting the Core Summer Games Jam, where anyone can enter and the prize is $25,000. The top 5 judged entries in each category will win prizes, and everybody that submits a valid entry alone will receive an exclusive Core profile picture. Core itself is completely free to use, and the game jam is free to enter. You can find out more about all of these or download Core for yourself by using those links in the video description. So the first major mod I want to take a look at today is actually a big milestone for Fallout 4, and that was with Combined Arms. Combined Arms is a weapon pack for Fallout 4, and even though this was a staple for Fallout New Vegas modding and to a lesser degree for Fallout 3 modding, there have only been a handful of weapon packs ever to come out for Fallout 4. And well, simply put, this is the best one. Combined Arms will add in 14 new modern weapons into Fallout 4, each of those 14 weapons being fully fledged weapons. Like, each of the 14 added with this could have been a standalone weapon mod, and many of them have so many different customization options that it is functionally more than just one individual weapon, but we'll get more into that in a moment. So as far as what this is actually add in, we have the Barrett M82A1, the M249, the SV98, the Spaz12, the SIG SG550, the PL15, the M9A1, the M1911, the Desert Eagle, the G36, the Stayer AUG, the AS-VAL, the AKM, and the TT-33 Tokarev. And to be clear, with one singular download, all of those weapons will be added into your Fallout 4, and in some regard, even more importantly, distributed throughout the leveled list of Fallout 4. Now, as I read off that list, some of those probably seemed at least somewhat familiar to you. Several of these have already been released as standalones by this mod author, but many also haven't. They're exclusives and newly added with this pack, and even some of the coolest ones are added with this pack. I know though, 14 new weapons in its own right is a big deal. This takes it even a step further, again with the degree of customization here, as each of these does have full-on stock barrel, scope, sight, underbarrel, etc. attachments and customization options. And one of the really cool parts about this is, even though some mods kind of go off the deep end with some of these customizations, this one has one of the best implementations of weapon modification I've seen from a mod thus far in Fallout 4, which is kind of crazy when you think of the actual scale of how many different attachments are added from this mod. And what I mean by that is, most of these weapons have perk requirements and resource requirements that actually make a lot of sense, and sometimes are a little bit weirder. It's not like you'll just be able to craft every attachment if you have level 4 of Gun Nut. There are some kind of weird modifications you can make to some of these weapons, and sometimes that will actually require a more specialized perk type. Perhaps a very powerful and unique modification to a weapon like shooting grenades from a sniper rifle, but in turn you might have some kind of specialized perk requirement also. And even outside of some of the perk requirements themselves, the damage output on these is very similar to vanilla, but of course you can customize them to deal more damage. But also things like recoil is nicely balanced here. If you don't have the right modifications and you're doing something like shooting a giant cartridge, you will get ridiculous amounts of recoil sometimes. It's the trade-off for dealing ridiculous amounts of damage or not actually having a stock at all in a weapon. And although there's quite a few weapon mods out there that have this vast scope of customization options. We've seen several in the Fallout 4 modding scene. This mod actually takes it even to some of the more unique weapons, like the Barrett M82, having a ton of different variations. You could significantly change the look of this weapon one way or another. The AKM, which was a previously standalone release, is like the ultimate AK mod in that you could turn this into a RPK, into a Dragunov, to more of a machine pistol, or really anything in between. That in its own right has like a ton of different customization options, and it's included in this pack of 14, and this past 12 is added with this one. It's almost been a white whale for Fallout 4. We've had a couple of work in progress ones, a couple of release ones, but it's one of those things that very few have gotten right or perfect, and this is a great implementation of it, featuring support for bullet counted reload as well. So really, this is like the ultimate weapon mod for Fallout 4. It's going to give you a ton of additional weapons for you to use yourself in the game, but also that will be implemented on enemies, and all of it is super well balanced and well polished. A lot of times when I'm doing subsequent playthroughs, I end up having to download like 20 different weapon mods, and it's just not that pleasant. This is going to fix that. Downloading this and perhaps one or two others of my favorite, and you're pretty much set for a good playthrough. Okay, so now that you have all these cool new weapons for Fallout 4, you may actually want something to do with all of those weapons, and quite literally, the perfect mod to be used in tandem released just recently also, and that is Gun for Hire. This is another mod that's been a work in progress for a long time, and is really pushing Fallout 4 forward in interesting ways by adding in totally new features. At its core, what Gun for Hire is going to do is allow you to set up a mercenary agency just outside of Diamond City, wherein people from all over the Commonwealth, and most notably around Diamond City, can hire you to do jobs. These ranging from things as simple as just an escort mission taking somebody from point A to point B, or taking down specific high-value targets or giant hordes of enemies. This is implemented in a pretty cool way in that you are basically establishing a business here, and you start off with a relatively low reputation. So early on, the jobs won't be quite as frequent, and just in general won't really be as high risk. They'll be a lot simpler. Like I mentioned before, some of those escort missions, perhaps just finding an object for somebody, or even just delivering a message from point A to point B. But with each subsequent job, you'll actually get caps, and if you are successful, your reputation will increase overall. And what this leads to is an almost linear building of this business. And as your reputation does increase, you'll get more notable jobs, you'll gain more reputation, and you'll kind of see things progressing around you. You'll gradually start doing jobs for Diamond City more directly, trying to make the area a bit safer, or perhaps taking down specific targets. And some of these jobs can get pretty unique or interesting. That horde job in particular can be pretty crazy when you're actually down there doing it, with some interesting mechanics mixed in. Even further, there's some rescue missions where sometimes you're tasked with finding out what happened to somebody, and if they are alive, actually saving them. During some jobs, you could actually have to deal with having somebody hostage. You're not just taking them out, but actually tasked with getting them back to Diamond City alive. So it's not always just going to be go here, take down this, and go back. There's a lot of variation here, and even among the similar job types, there are different edits on them, so every once in a while you'll get one with a twist or a turn, and there's a huge amount of variety to begin with. And as you do gradually progress this into more of a substantial business, you will start to unlock some unique and interesting features added in with this mod. You'll actually be able to hire contractors that will act as an additional follower that will help you out from job to job. If you get far enough, you could actually steal a vertibird and get an operational vertibird from the gunners, but I'll leave that one more as a surprise. And overall, it's one of those things that I think becomes a must download for Fallout 4, in that it just has a very interesting and nice background mechanic. I don't think it's necessarily something you want to mainly prioritize in a new playthrough, just doing this mercenary business, but in between a couple of quests or taking a break from settlement building, going to this to build it up, take a couple of new jobs, or even unlock some of the cool new features is pretty special. There's even a disguise mechanic implemented with this one, and I do think it is best experienced on survival mode, where the stakes are really high during some of those missions, and it really makes it feel like you are building and accomplishing something. It's been a long time coming, and it is another, I think, must download for many people, which adds in a great new mechanic and feature for Fallout 4. But speaking of great new mechanics and features, I do want to yet again highlight Pack Attack Companion Edition. It did receive one of its first post-release updates. If you're not familiar, Pack Attack is an AI overhaul for Fallout 4. It's one of the best mods ever released for this game, and it just recently got an extension applying to companions. And functionally, what this will do is make your companions in Fallout 4 smarter, behave more intelligently, and at points just differently, like Dogmeat being far more aggressive and useful. Your companions will focus on using cover, move from cover to cover, or even flank around your enemies. They still are our AI controlled companions, so don't expect too much, but this mod definitely does a really good job at making them a lot smarter and useful. And with one of the most recent updates that even gave them explosive vehicle avoidance, so they will actually be able to detect if a vehicle is about to explode and run away. But then to tie a really nice bow on all of the various mods available right now, we also do have the Fallout 4 HD Overhaul, which also was literally just released. And this one is it. This is the comprehensive texture overhaul for Fallout 4, replacing quite literally thousands of textures all across Fallout 4's Commonwealth to just higher resolution or better looking versions of their past selves. Hopefully some of the before and afters can convey this. As you can see, various textures all across the world just being updated to look better. Honestly, at its core, this one's kind of simple in a sense that it isn't really that complicated of a mod. You're just downloading updated texture files. The reason this is so massive is how much it actually affects, impacting the base game of Fallout 4 as well as all of the DLCs to quite literally be thousands of textures that Luxor has been working on for years at this point. He's had several packs like this come out in the past, but this is easily the most comprehensive of the bunch and a huge upgrade to Fallout 4 overall. As time moves on, this is definitely going to be that cornerstone for making Fallout 4 look better as far as those HD overhauls in general go. You'll be seeing this mod pop up on the list as this is going to be the one you're going to want to download, and it's a big one. But that said, those are 4 mods that you could get right now for Fallout 4 that are going to overhaul and improve your game in a big way. But that's actually not even all. Even though it's already been a pretty insane week for Fallout 4, and we're now just a week away from BE3 where there's a ton of other gaming news to begin with, we also just got a teaser trailer for the next installment for Sim Settlements 2, that being with the chapter 2 of its story and perhaps some new features along the way. All the teaser trailer linked down below. Here are some of the clips from it. It certainly looks like there's going to be some very interesting conflicts introduced with this one, likely new mechanics for the mod overall. Sim Settlements 2 is pretty much just the best mod for Fallout 4 ever, and really what we're seeing all of this coming together to be is a real golden age or golden era for Fallout 4 modding. That's really all happening in the past week or so. There's just so much good content coming out. And again, a huge shout out to Core for sponsoring this video. Sponsors like that really help with the channel overall, as well as you could check out Core for yourself completely for free and try out some other free custom made content, again all with that download link in the description.